Oh, hey everybody. It's time for another weekly update. Hopefully I'm not talking too loudly. Wow, what a week. I just want to open up by saying thank you to Jake from Nerd Level Rising for having me on for a live stream yesterday. If you guys missed it, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. It was a great conversation. We were talking for like 2.5 hours. I felt like we could have kind of just kept going. And again, I'm just so grateful for the relationships that have kind of spawned through the branches of John and Jacob from Talking Story, and grateful for, I guess, the opportunity to speak with anybody who likes stories or books or manga, whatever, TV shows, everything. It's just kind of really cool that you guys leave your comments with your recommendations. I love that. I may not always be able to get to them, and definitely not able to get to them immediately. The goal is over time to like have this backlog, and get to points where we're like, okay, you know what? Let me just go through. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a video in the future where I just run through and randomly pick, something like that. I just am very grateful for the conversations that I have down in the comments with you guys. I'm grateful for whenever you guys like or subscribe, anything, even just tuning in. I'm just grateful you guys are here for the conversation. And again, thank you to Jake from Nerd Level Rising for having me on. There are some more conversations in the works in terms of potential live streams with maybe 3 or 4 of us, just getting a group together, having conversations, chatting. Just, it's one of the reasons why you start doing this, is to do that. So I encourage you, even though I'm not, that big of a channel in general, I just encourage you guys to do it yourself. There's a gentleman, N.A. Summers. I want to leave his channel down in the description below. I just subscribed to him. He tuned into the live stream yesterday, and he's also working on a book. He reads, he's got it all down. He's joining. He put his hat in the ring. Let's go ahead and show him some support. And then, everybody who we're going to have conversations with going forward, you guys will be sure to be in the loop. Again, I'll leave a link in the description below about my conversation with Jake. That said, let's get to the weekly reading update, and then we'll move into some writing stuff later in the video. So again, thank you guys so much just for tuning in. So what have I read this past week? Now, I went away this weekend for 3 days. I thought I was going to be able to read a lot more than I was able to do, but also you got to be present. And it was a very short flight. It's only like an hour flight. That said, let's talk about my primary read actually first. My primary read. I'm reading Of War and Ruin. Oh, the lighting there. I am about 35% done. I wanted to be 50% done by today. I couldn't get that extra 15%. For no lack of trying, I just didn't have as much time as I thought I was going to. As the week went on, my girlfriend gets back from Europe tomorrow. I read every day. It's just I alternate between reads, and it just messes me up. So my Sundered Moon read and my read of Royal Assassin are going to be my next reads beyond Of War and Ruin and likely Empire of the Vampire. That said, I'm hoping that I'm going to read those two side by side and finish Sundered Moon by October 25th for sure. And then Royal Assassin, I'll probably jump right into the third book in the first of the Farseer trilogy, the first run of the Elderling trilogy, because I'm missing Robin Hobb's prose right now. So leading into October, I'm hoping, as we are in October now, those will be my primary reads. I'm not going to be able, I think, to get to Horns simply as much as I'd like to, Andrew. This month, I have to be more real. You have to be realistic about these things. And I think I set my bar way too high last month, as I had more of the failures to read last month than I thought I was going to. And it just kind of put me behind. So I'm kind of taking it easy on as far as like setting up a firm TBR in terms of, like, I can definitely get through these things. It's just I realized I picked up 2 chonkers between Of War and Ruin and getting back into Empire of the Vampire. And so it's taking up a little bit more time than I had thought. And then after my Malazan read, it just really crushed me. So where I'm at in Of War and Ruin, there's some perspectives here that have, again, grown on me. Again, this book just keeps getting better and better as I go. I can't recommend it enough. You see it's not even like a quality difference. You feel Mr. Ryan Cahill is just more confident and firm in his own voice, being in his characters' heads in this book than he has in the prior ones. And I think it started with the Exile and Dane, for sure. That said, the story up to that point was amazing, and I highly recommend anybody to get into it. Of War and Ruin so far is exceeding expectations. Not that I had low expectations. I had high expectations, and it's exceeding those. So again, I highly recommend people get into the Bound and the Broken series. I'm loving Ryan Cahill's work so far. And then I am yay far in Empire the Vampire, which, if you remember last week, is not much farther than I wanted to be. I made it like maybe 10% further this past week. I just didn't really. I focused more on reading this from the low amount I was on of War and Ruin, and so I jumped into Empire the Vampire here and there. I got like probably 4 or 5 more chapters in. And again, loving this book so far. I love the episodic theme of it. I love. I always blank on the character's name when I start talking about it. It is absolutely crazy. I don't know what it is. Here we go. Gabriel De Leon. Okay. And then we just had a big reveal about some of the other characters in the story, and I remember their name. I'm not going to say who. I remember their name, and it's kind of there's little bits and pieces early on in the book that lead you to believe that this is the thing that is going to happen, and it's a pretty good payoff. I say so far. We're just 50% through, and the payoff is you're getting some already, and I'm excited to see where the narrative is going in terms of the interview that he's having with this vampire, and how it's going to turn out. I'm very excited to see it further. And then today, and this was all today, all right, I read a lot of All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. All right. This has been exceeded my expectations as well. I mean, every book I've read so far in this month has exceeded expectations. This book so far I have probably 70 pages left. I'm going to finish this either tonight or tomorrow. And it is I've been listening to it on audio and reading it at the same time today, listening to like a Red Dead Redemption winter ambience. I highly recommend, if you're reading the Western, to give that a go. It helped me. I mean, it just furthers my immersion into the story. I just love doing that. And this is not the story I think I was expecting to get. And after having watched No Country for Old Men, I think a couple weeks ago, it kind of gave me this like structure in my brain to put to this book. I know they're different in terms of just the way that No Country for Old Men was filmed and casting in my head these characters, and honestly, it's way cooler than I thought it was going to be too. There's some good action in this that I wasn't expecting. I love the love story, and I think we're about to get some payoff with that, but you never know with Cormac McCarthy. Sometimes you just are left with none, and to linger on your thoughts on what happens and then make your own interpretations. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts about Cormac McCarthy's books. I highly recommend, if you're interested in getting into this form of literature, All the Pretty Horses, I think, is a good place to start. The Road, for me, was by far still my favorite read of his. Having not finished All the Pretty Horses just yet. And in terms of, if you're talking about like Western, Lonesome Dove is, if you watch my top 10 video, and like even my top 5 video talking about books that I would have in like a nuclear apocalypse, I think appropriately Lonesome Dove would be on that list as well. So that's it for novels. Let's jump into manga a little and talk about my Berserk read. I finished up, I think it's volumes 7, 8, and 9 of the actual volumes that are in this. This is the 3rd volume of like deluxe edition of Berserk. I don't know. Please leave down in the comments if you're here to talk to like hear about this. If you want to hear spoilers, if you don't want to hear spoilers, I'm gonna go into them a little bit up to this point because I'm trying to understand where I'm at. Let me actually leave spoilers out right now and kind of talk about my experience so far with Berserk. We got some vulnerability from our main cast, and it's nice to see these characters in these moments, especially when there's not action happening. Because the before what I got to finishing this Wounds Chapter 2, we have a lot less vulnerability and a lot more action, a lot more pulling you into the world. And once we get these quiet moments with these characters, you start to really see the impact and the effect of things that were laid down early on in the story. And you're also seeing different sides of characters kind of come full circle. And it's really interesting to see. And I loved it up to this point. I think I'm not going to not love it more. I love it even more now after seeing these vulnerable moments, is what I was trying to say. Yes, and I love these editions. I have number 4 right here, ready to go. I just finished this one here, and I'm excited to continue on and get into it. So that was that. I read up to chapter 4 of. We're going to talk about comics a little. Old Man Logan. All right, we have I think Ashley is her name. There's some character stuff in here from some like one of my favorite superheroes ever is in this, and I'm not going to say what happens to them, but I just didn't see it coming. Let's just say that. And it was visceral, bloody, and awesome, and also really kind of sad because you see your favorite superhero just get torn apart by a raptor. Moving on from that, I just want to not talk about that anymore. Anyway, so it's a very good comic. I love Old Man Logan. I love that concept of the character. I love like this sort of defeated superhero and exploring that mind. I actually talked to Jake from Nerd Level Rising about that a little bit in our chat. I don't know if we were recording or not when that came up, but it's one of my favorite things to explore. So that was what I am currently reading. Nothing is finished just yet. I will be finishing this, and I can talk more about the ending of this next week. But now I'm going to move on to what I picked up, which I don't know what that was. It was tape. It was jujitsu tape. Okay. I picked up Blackwater by Michael McDowell. And this one first was on my radar from Mike's book reviews and his experience reading this and how it just pulled him in, hook, line, and sinker. He was like going to read it periodically, and then he just needed to keep going. I also have this on audio. I believe my goal by the end of this month, being that I'm not a horror reader, and I know I said I was going to read horns. I really want to. I think I need something a little bit more digestible in terms of like I think I can read a book from this technically, or like an arc, and it's only 150 some odd pages or so. So I think that's something I'm going to be getting into because I think that'll be a little bit more consumable for me, and it also dips my toes in the waters of horror. So let me know what you guys think as far as horror books are concerned. I know we're going into the month of October. Everyone loves spooky season. I would love to read Between Two Fires. I had that as a goal coming into October by Christopher Buehlman. But I think with the primary reads I have now, I need to be probably more concise with the books that I'm choosing. I will be reading We Are the Dead likely by the end of the month. My goal, I'm going to talk really quickly about my goal for the month of October. I'm going to try and finish up of War and Ruin and All the Pretty Horses. I'm going to try and wrap those up within the next couple of weeks. And then I'm going to read Sundered Moon, Royal Assassin, and then I'm going to probably go into Hob again and also rip one of these chapters from Blackwater. I have an intention to start We Are the Dead before the end of the month. But after I read Sundered Moon, we will be having a discussion with Zamara Mir himself and Alex over at Iskandaria, who will be hosting this conversation. There's still some final touches we got to put on that, but there is a firm date in place. If you guys want to, I'll be posting it in my community tab. You'll be able to see Alex prepare that and the live stream and have a thumbnail and everything. And that'll be over at his channel. So we'll go over there and hang out and talk about the Book of Estia, which is independently published Grimdark series. I highly recommend. I read Riven Earth and I'm in love with it. And I can't wait to get into Sundered Moon. So yeah, that's kind of the next like reading plan. We'll finish up the Farseer trilogy by mid-November. And then we're going to get into December, I believe, Words of Radiance before the end of the year, with a hope to also return to the Malazan world and read Night of Knives as my next read. And then that'll probably binge right into Bone Hunters in January. That's the intention, just so you guys have an idea of what I'm getting into as far as reading is going. Now that we're done with all that, the D&D front, no announcements there. In terms of what we're going to be getting into. Jake and I on the live stream that I have in the description below, we do a lot of talking about D&D in general. We have like a tentative soft date that we're finalizing. And once that's final, Jake will be the one that will be announcing all the stuff on his channel for our D&D games. And maybe some more in the future, that's the hope. Also, I forgot Joseph Reed's books, who's also a big TTRPG guy. If you guys want to, I'm sure you're probably already subscribed to him, but he also is, I believe, reading Blackwater as he goes into October. So if you want somebody who's who's firmly reading it probably more than I am this month. I'd say that you can go check him out. He probably has some good conversation. Actually love his videos. He just posts like these unique topics that you don't really see a lot of people talking about. So it's cool, like author's favorite author. He introduced me to the Dread Empire by Glenn Cook, who wrote The Black Company, and that preceded The Black Company, I believe. And Stephen Erickson has a foreword in one of the books. I talked about it in an update a while ago. Okay, so that is the book updates as far as reading goes. If you guys are just here for the reading, thank you again so much for coming and hanging out. Again, please like, subscribe, leave your comments with your recommendations. Tell me what down below is. Talk about D&D. Talk to me about your favorite class. I know I'm probably talking to myself here, but let me know your favorite class. Let me know what your favorite setting in Dungeons and Dragons, or if another tabletop RPG has your heart. If it's not Dungeons and Dragons 5e, what is it? And yeah, so that's it for reading Dungeons and Dragons life updates. Well, I'm going to go into my writing now. So if you're not here to watch me show for myself for like 3 minutes, you can go ahead and click off. Thank you so much for coming. I really am grateful that you did. Okay, so word count update for everybody keeping track. We are at, I put it in the titles of these videos, and I think it's also helping me as far as these video diaries go. I'm at 154.7 thousand words. So 154,700 words, give or take like 50, for my book 2 in the series. Mercy, you could check down on the link below if you want to check the just the blurb. I have it in the description, with some inspirations that I'm building off of, the shoulders I'm standing on as I write. And book 1, no massive updates there. There's the Fictional Escapist is doing an alpha read of my book right now. I'm going to leave that channel down in the description below so you guys can go check it out. He also does a ton of reading on great reads on his channel, and it's awesome. I highly recommend checking it out. Yeah, and I'm hoping to get feedback. I think in the next few weeks. Like again, I'm assuming, people take as long as they need. I have until the beginning of November to start working on notes for book 1. And so when you guys as I go into November, I intend to go back into book 1 with all the notes that I have from like 7 or 8 readers and make the adjustments before handing it off to an editor in December. Again, I'm reiterating this stuff for myself too. And yeah, I think we're pretty close to the end of book 2 in terms of drafting this first draft. Things have slowed down a little bit. We have some reflection moments after this giant, this massive scene that took place that tore my heart out. And I'm really looking forward to getting into this next part. As we kind of dim off of the reflections, we're going to get into some high action. There's going to be some time jumps, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be so cool. Yeah, so that's the update, guys. I'm again talking about Patreon. Hopefully by January, we'll have that finalized, and I will have a short story for you guys to check out. And so you can see kind of maybe pieces of my writing style, dabbled in there, and 3,000-4,000 words, whatever it is. And yeah, it'll be a cool story kind of preceding the beginning of where my book takes place, book 1. Which with the goal is that it comes out in July. I'm really trying to hold myself to that. And there's no reason why it can't. It's a matter of my effort, really. And it's my responsibility to make sure that happens. So by all accounts, it should. Nothing back from the cover yet. Should know more by the end of the month, I believe. So we'll see. I think I'm going to shoot the cover artist a message email tomorrow and get some more info there. But yeah, anyways, guys, I wanted to thank you so much for coming over and watching the video. Please check the channels I mentioned down in the description below. There are a bunch of great people down there that you can follow and watch if you're obsessed with books, obsessed with story. Let me know in the comments below what interests you. If you're here for the writing, if you're here for the reading, like either way, I'm going to keep talking about both, but I'm grateful you guys came to hang out. And again, please check out that conversation with Jake and I from Nerd Level Rising, because it was so fun. And that's kind of why I do this. I love those live conversations. I'm really intent on doing more. And it's just so fun. It is just so fun. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. We'll see you next week.